Learning from work has, of course, many elements, and two elements that didn't used to be on the menu some time ago are videos and podcasts. Now, they both have a lot of potential value in maximizing our efforts to manage our own learning and development. So here's my 5 key points around the use of videos and podcasts, which I have used a lot for my own and others' development. And it's important also to recognize and respect, of course, the law, copyright, and the ownership and terms of this. There's a lot of free, genuinely public domain stuff out there, and it's those issues and it's those sources, that I'm particularly interested in focusing on today. So, first point is to be clear on what you seek and to be focused to save hours. It's no good just saying, hey, let Google take me where I want to go. It helps to have a better idea of what you want and precisely the sources and the material and the type of stuff you're looking for. The more you get to use video and podcast sources, the more you'll recognize the sources that you have in the past valued. I have a dozen or so, and not much more, that I go back to repeatedly and see what's new there and to download and keep for my own purposes of development. So I'm not just starting from a blank sheet all the time. I know where I can find good stuff, and it takes a bit of time to do that because there's so much out there. You need to be increasingly focused on what you're looking for, or you'll be enmeshed in a load of stuff out there that really isn't what you're looking for. So the second point is provenance. Provenance matters. So source credibility is a key issue. There's a lot of people out there who profess expertise. Look out for people who call themselves experts, for starters, in various areas. And there's a lot of people who are indeed expert in things. You'll yourself work out that. There are people out there whose actual apparent professed competencies and capabilities don't always match what they're actually putting up in terms of video and podcast material. But there's good stuff. That's why you need to invest a bit of time finding the good from the bad and the ugly. So provenance does matter. Certain universities, certain sources, certain people, certain practitioners are reputationally focused and based and put a lot of value in the reputation. So you can usually, for certain people and sources, say this will be good because of where it comes from. So there you go. Third point I want to make is that it's very important to organize your finds. It's all very well to say, hey, this is good stuff, look at this. And then something happens, you get taken away, you haven't downloaded it or kept it, and you've lost it. So purely from my own point of view, I know the value of keeping pretty detailed folders and files on what I find. I've got 1,700 videos downloaded. I don't just put them in one place with 1,700 videos in. I've organized them by lists and by files. It all sounds a bit time consuming. Well, yes, it is. But if you're going to get value from this, it's important that you organize yourself efficiently. Otherwise, you lose the efficiency saving because you know there's something good somewhere, but you don't know where it is, and it's in amongst other things. The more you organize what you've got, and I do encourage the downloading of material legitimately always, because that way you can organize it yourself, either on big USBs like I tend to, or on a hard drive. So organize your finds, keep them, download them, and the time spent on that is always worthwhile because it gives you such good payback. So don't just collect, watch, listen, and note to make it worthwhile. Sitting in front of a video, these days, 12, 15 minutes is a long time for a lot of people. Sitting in front of a video, for instance, of, 10 minutes, and thinking, wow, that was good, and then remembering nothing of it the next week was a waste of 10 minutes. So watching something that is of value, noting the key learning points from this, doesn't have to be an essay, it could just be a few words, and keeping that somewhere that is accessible is everything. You can return to it. So the most important thing is, as ever, to use your new knowledge, to turn it into learning. It's not enough to just acquire more information. Yes, that video was good. That podcast was worth listening to. How is it worth? watching or listening to, only ever in terms of what you do differently and better as a result, how it changes your behavior, how you use and implement and apply that learning. That should be why we do this stuff. So don't be taken in by your own thoughts around, hey, that was good. It's only good when you do something about it. So just some further thoughts. I organize, like I say, my videos, 1,700 and more and counting, because I find new ones and keep them each week, into a summary document of what I've got under each main heading. So for instance, I've got 239 leadership videos, I did have when I put the list I'm looking at together. And I've subdivided those because when you've got over 200 videos, it's all very well, but if you're looking for something specific, you need to know where to find it. I've subdivided that into skills and qualities, into personal leadership thoughts, into organizational contacts, and servant leadership specifically. So the more videos you get, I find, and I've got 1,700, the more you need to be careful to subdivide and to be specific about what you've got and make them accessible. Same goes for podcast. I've created now 131 podcasts. I have 76 now on my podcast, which is thelearningear.org on Podbean. So I produce a lot of podcasts, and it's important also to organize them and to have them organized not just for your own benefit, for other people's who want to be able to access your material in a sensible and time efficient way. So the key thing is, the more your resource grows, whether it's audio or whether it's video, the more organization is required in order to get the most from it. I go a stage further. For most of the podcasts that I produce, I also do a summary of content and timings. So on minute 1:35, 1 minute 35 seconds, I said this, or this is the issue that was covered, or 8 minutes 40, this was the issue, to give myself and others the best means to access what is of the greatest interest. Otherwise, what are you doing? You're producing a podcast, if you're doing the producing of it, and unless you keep a pretty good record of what's there, it's nothing more than a sit there and find it for yourself. I think it helps yourself and others when you are producing audio material or indeed video to keep a pretty strong record of what's on there, because that way it will get more notice, it'll get more attention, and potentially more people will say, hey, you sound an interesting person. I'd like to talk to you about, for instance, some work. Has that ever happened? Maybe. So the key point here is, yes, be active, be interested always in finding material, in looking for and organizing critically what you've got, because useful stuff has value, but useful stuff needs to be organized and needs to be accessible. So as ever, I hope that helps a bit.